So we are down the Seedball Allotment, aka Sara's allotment. So Sara, hi Anna. We'll have a cup of tea. What we thought we'd do is come and meet for a cup of tea down Sara's allotment once a month. So this is our first one in May, and just really give you a bit of a tour of what's going on down the allotment, and especially since Sara's been growing wildflowers from seed balls, it's kind of interesting to see the progress of the wildflowers and the wildlife that they're attracting.
Yeah. So I've been growing the Seedball wildflowers now in a wildflower strip for about 2 years. So I started off with sort of wildflowers dotted around the allotment, and then I thought it would be good to have a whole strip. So I've kind of designated this whole side here, and had a few seed balls that started off in a raised bed last year, such as the red campions that have now really come on strong, and I moved them, so everything that pops up in the wrong place I just move into the wildflower strip, which is brilliant.
Yeah, so don't be worried if you've got lots of plants coming up. You can separate them. You don't have to worry about keeping everything together. If you've got too many that are coming from a ball, that's fine. Split them off, put them in different areas. Or if you're seeing wildflowers coming up in an area that you're not so sure about, move them around, match them to what you want. You don't have to be nervous of working with your wildflowers.
Absolutely, you can kind of move them around, be a bit harsh to them, chop them back at the end of the autumn, especially after you've moved them. It's good to move them kind of when they're just becoming dormant, so at the end of autumn, if they've been flowering all summer, just chop them off and move them to a new place, and hopefully then the roots will have a better chance of getting established because they won't be trying to do top growth, so that's always a good tip.
Okay.
So do you want to come and have a look?
This is the wildflower
strip, which is starting to burgeon away. So all these fluffy top ones, these are all Oxide Daisies.
You can just see the seed heads about to burst into life there.
Yep.
Amazing. So many of them.
Red campion. All the red campion in this bed has just been moved into this bed this spring. But before the Oxide Daisies started coming up, there were lots of forget-me-nots and primroses here.
You can still see lots of
the
forget-me-nots.
Still flowering.
So you can still see forget-me-nots and primroses that have been around for quite a while, so they'll hang around until... So on our blog at the moment, we actually have a guide to what you can see in May, so what wildflowers are out and about. So right now, end of May?
Yeah, I mean, yes, yeah, and forget-me-nots, so you only need one forget-me-not plant in the end, and then they'll just self-seed happily, so they're a really good one to have. And that big bushy, that's the 3 quite recognisable leaves of red clover.
Such a bee attractor.
A
And they really grow quite tall, so it's quite surprising. They're not... I mean, if we cut them, obviously with the lawnmower, then you're going to keep them lower to the ground, but in a bed, they take up quite a lot of height and they're really quite showy.
Yeah, and that one was on the edge of the raised bed, and it ended up climbing all across the path, and the bees visited it all summer long. And interestingly, I've just noticed that one hasn't got the very clear white markings on the leaves like this one.
You can see those really white crescents on the leaves that are really distinctive. Oh wow.
It's buttercup coming up.
Look at the buttercup. So they have really distinctive kind of spiky leaves to them. And they got their name obviously, but you pick them to see butter under your chin.
You like butter? Here, a different one. This is muskmallow.
Let's have a look. So these beautiful frilly leaves that you can just see here.
So hopefully that will come up and have a big pink flower and get quite tall.
Beautiful. So you can see here is a small yarrows down at the bottom, at the base of this. Looks like, what do you think this is?
Some kind of wild geranium.
By the geranium, we've got a mallow here near the Oxide Daisy. So they're obviously going to come up later in the year. So we've got a kind of succession of wildflowers here, which hopefully will keep the pollinators fed from spring through to autumn.
And look what we found here.
Oh look.
This I think is sheep sorrel.
That is.
The arrowhead shaped leaves.
You can just see I'm zooming in.
The very tight little red flowers will be on there, and then it goes to seed, which lots of small birds like tits and goldfinch like to come and eat the seed. So you're growing your own bird food, really.
Yeah, so this is from our bird mix. So we're going to have a look in this predominantly veg bed, but as you can see, it's not just veg because
Now I'm going to I've let this flower because that's really good for getting the pollinators in. This was from a salad mix.
Oh wow.
So it's the kale. Wow, it's because they're biennial, so it takes their life cycles 2 years, and quite often we get rid of them before they've completed their plant life cycle of having a flower and going to seed. But the insects love them, and I don't know if you look here, it's covered in aphids, which is also food for birds, ladybirds, hoverfly larvae. So, and I don't really mind that it's on this, and now this is going to give me seed as well. So
found chives, look.
So these chives are going to flower, and the bees love these flowers. That's another good one for
I just think that purple is so beautiful in the garden. We've got them in our balcony pots and also in our window boxes. This is marjoram here.
Yep, this one.
It's not quite ready to flower.
No, it's just coming up quite leafy. It likes the sunshine. But this is absolutely covered with butterflies in the summer.
I can't remember who did the research on this, you might remember, that said that marjoram was actually the top attractor for
bees and butterflies.
Dandelions over there.
Bird's foot trefoil there as
And
well.
bird's foot trefoil is this next to the dandelions that you can see. So if you've got this, I love it in hanging baskets, like a lobelia. It comes trailing down. So just behind me is next to the dandelion clock. I just can't resist it. Is some more Oxide Daisy about to burst into life. So I think that will probably be coming out in the next week. So look out for Oxide Daisy.
Here's borage. Really pretty star-shaped flowers that you can use in drinks or ice cubes.
In gin.
Looks nice in Pimm's, yeah.
It looks so pretty.
And the young leaves you can use in salad, but they do get a bit coarser. And this is in our bat mix. And the bees like it too, and moths.
Bat mix has a mixture of wildflowers that are particularly strong scented in the evening to attract moths in that the bats obviously predate. So this corner of the plot is
where the
pond is. And the pond is super cute and made from, what was it, Sarah?
An old baby pond. So it's good to have an area around your pond that is quite lush or has somewhere for amphibians to hide.
Yep.
And be careful as well this time of year if you're cutting back long grass, although you won't be because it's no more May, because frogs and amphibians like to hide in long grass. They don't just spend all their time in the pond.
So we've got stones in the corner.
Yeah, it's good to have somewhere where things can climb out.
So this is a super simple pond to make. So would you talk us through how you made it?
Yeah, so just dig a hole that's deep enough for whatever container you've chosen. Fill it with some pebbles and things and make sure there is a shallow side. It definitely needs a shallow side, and if you can make that by piling up pebbles so that something can crawl out. Yeah. Or you can add hessian over the side, which things can crawl out of. And then I just this is just a pot of sedge that's dropped in.
Yep.
The duckweed I didn't put in. So if you use rainwater,
yep.
It doesn't have many nutrients, so it stops you getting too much algae and stuff.
The best things you can do for wildlife, other than growing wildflowers obviously, is to put in a pond. Yeah. On your plot is the Wheelbarrow Planter. So we're going to have a look at what's going on in said wheelbarrow planter.
Well, this is a white wheelbarrow, so it's got white clover.
Let's zoom in. What's the difference between white clover
So
and
white
the red?
clover's a lot shorter. It's normally the one that you would have in your lawn that gets mown off, but also bee magnet and oxide daisies, and then also there's a few feathery yarrow leaves in here going to come up.
Yes, you can't quite see the yarrow through all that thick growth of the clover.
Yeah, the yarrows come up, flower later, then more sort of full summer. So obviously the oxide daisy is going to flower first. Then I think it will be the clover and then the yarrow.
Beautiful.